Welcome back to Guitar Aminal. Today we're going over muting, and this is an essential technique for absolute beginners, often overlooked because most people focus on the things that make the sound. But really, if you think about it, especially with electric guitar, you have an amplifier behind you. You want to control the sound. That is so important. So, just to get a baseline understanding of what muting is, think about how guitars are built again here. We're going to break it down to the absolute basics. You have pickups that are wired to an amplifier to amplify the sound of the vibration of the strings. And so muting and controlling the sound, it's really easy to let the sound get out of control. So you want ways to stop that sound, either through palm muting or with your fingertips. So those are the two basic ways to mute. So palm muting is the first type of muting. And I'm using this part of my hand right here against the very first part of the bridge, right up against the string to stop that vibration. And then the fretting hand can mute as well if you just release pressure and also lay your hands flat so that it hits other open strings. I just lay my hands against the strings. A lot of times what I'll do is just use my pinky and just lay it flat to mute. So it's all about just controlling when you're making noise and when you're not, or when you don't want to make noise. This can get a lot more complicated, like a lot of things with guitar. For example, if you're playing a riff, you can mute certain notes and keep others ringing out. You can have like the chugga chugga sound of like a lot of metal, rock and roll, where you're like, in that case, you can kind of use both hands because you're in a power chord. Your hand's already in a good position to mute. See, I'm not using the striking hand there. And ultimately, you're trying to build an intuition as for when you want to control that sound. You don't necessarily want to think, okay, I'm going to release my left hand off the fretboard right now to stop the sound. You don't want to think that intentionally every time. At first, you're going to have to have the muscle memory to do it. But for now, you're just learning the technique. And so eventually you let feeling and rhythm take over. And that's going to guide when you use your hands to stop the sound. So let's look at an example. Today's example is a Green Day classic power chord band. And one of their major tools is muting. Okay, so you notice the early strikes more muted, more controlled, and then that last couple strikes, they let the notes ring loose. Muted, muted, and then ringing loose. So you'll find it's a heavily intuited skill to mute. It's a lot like rhythm. I mean, it's a direct contributor to rhythm. Um, how you control when a chord rings out or when it doesn't. Uh, so it's really tough to say when to mute and when to not. It's all about using your ear, being aware of the sound you're making, and letting your hands react in time to what feels good and what sounds good. That's huge for this song. When I come around, so just listen again with that thought in mind. How do they decide when to mute and when to let chords ring out? I doubt that they thought like intentionally, oh yeah, I should make some false strikes in there, and that might sound good. I really bet that it came from a feeling that they intuited in the moment and were just playing and felt that way. But they needed that skill to be accessible to them to be able to do that in the moment. So that's what we're trying to build is just comfort in using both of your hands to silence the strings at the same time. And it's going to be very difficult at first, like any other skill. But once you gain confidence in, your hands becoming attenuated to the guitar, they become acclimated. You get calluses on your fingers. You'll see that after 3 weeks or so, things become a lot easier. You get more confident in the fact that your body does adapt. You will learn. You have muscle memory. Your fingers get used to the instrument, and ultimately, you can start shaping the sound that you want. Really, the guitar becomes like this spectrum of sound that you control, and you can choose the notes. And the on and off switch becomes, are those strings vibrating or not? And that's what muting controls. So you have to get used to first palm muting. And really, it's just this movement. That's why it's so hard to teach on camera, because it's really hard to like visualize, really hard to show on screen. But all it is moving the side of your hand onto the string from the bridge. So you want your hand at the ready. Like when you're strumming chords, it should be ready to slide over to mute. And then your fretting hand, you want ready to release. Even when you're playing a solo, as soon as you take the pressure off that fret, it's going to stop the sound. And so um, you just want to be able to have that physical capability to intuit when you feel like that sound should stop ringing out. And that's what muting is all about. So I hope this came across pretty well. It's one of the more like difficult concepts to explain, especially at a beginner level, how important muting is. But if you listen to bands that use a lot of um, distortion, like heavy metal bands, um, you will find that the most impressive heavy metal bands use muting very well. It's not so much about the sound that rings out, it's more about the sound that doesn't happen, that they keep back from ringing out. I would just experiment with different levels of muting. So maybe like on the spectrum, like find your comfort area as far as like where silence is and where absolute ringing out is, and where the in between is. Using both hands too, and that's muting. Essential skill. I threw it at the beginning of this channel because it's actually like one of the top 5 like most important factors for playing guitar. So that's the message today. Muting, palm muting, and fret hand muting, really the only two types that you need. There's also like just laying a finger across all the strings. That's going to do it too. However, you can get the strings to stop vibrating. This is Guitar Aminal. Thanks for joining today, and we'll see you next time.